I came up with today's workshop because the other day I was on Threads. If you're not familiar with Threads, it's a social media platform, and I guess it's similar to Twitter. I never was a really big Twitter person, but people just chat. They also have like a little voice note thing where you can send back and forth and engage in different conversations, different topics. So something came across my timeline, and there was a guy that was saying, hey, if you like skinny women, date skinny women. If you like thick women, date thick women. If you like fit women, date fit women. But what you're not gonna do is date someone and then try to change them. That's a summary of what it said, but that's what it said, okay? Below, I saw a comment from a young lady, and she said, facts. You know how we do, facts. And she said, I am a thicker woman, and my boyfriend keeps trying to make me lose weight. He does not exercise, and he doesn't eat healthy, but he keeps trying to make me lose weight. And she said, and he said that he's not, he said, let me see. She said that he expected her to lose weight when they had started dating, and because she hadn't, he did not really find her attractive, and that he keeps trying to force her to lose weight. And below, of course, the comments were, girl, leave him. Why are you still with him? You can do better. He doesn't deserve you, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So, with that being said, the title of today's workshop is Becoming the Woman You Demand a Man to Deserve. Self-work, standards, and femininity. All right? All right.
The repeat of that title one more time.
Okay. So, becoming the woman you demand a man to deserve. Self-worth, standards, and femininity. All right, so I'm going to start off with the Bible scripture. I always stick with the King James Version because that's the one without all of the fillers and changes to make people feel good and all the stuff that they add. But sometimes the King James Version can be a bit hard to understand, so I'm going to read it, and then we're going to break it down, and then we're going to go into the workshop, okay? So Matthew 7:3-5 says, And why beholdest thou the mote that is in the brother's eye, but considereth not the beam that is in thine own eye? Or how wilt thou say, thou brother, let me pull out the mote of thine eye, and behold, the beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out thine own eye, and then shalt, wait, let me move this over, hold on. Y'all's faces is over the words. And then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote of thine own eye. Okay? Now, the insight on this, based off of our conversation that we're about to have, is it's easy for us, particularly women. I speak to women. We all are women. I'm a woman. It's easy for us to make non-negotiables for men. It's easy for us to say, we deserve this. I'm not taking that. I'm not settling. But how often do we actually turn the mirror inward? Okay? If we want a high caliber man, or somebody who has these things that we are saying that we desire from a man, we need to make sure that we are doing the inner and the outer work to make sure that we are also a high caliber woman, okay? Understanding marketplace value and self-worth. Okay, before we dive into this, let me say this. Your dating marketplace value and your personal value is two separate things. Okay? Your dating marketplace value and your personal value, or your self-value and self-worth, is two completely different things. One has to do with the dating market, one has to do with self, personal, how you feel about yourself, how God feels about you, etc. Okay? In the marketplace value, okay, when we're talking about dating, the qualities that and let me give a little pause here, there's always exceptions to the rule. Because whenever I talk about this, people are like, well, no, because I know somebody that, yeah, there's always exceptions to the rule. But remember, the goal of all of this, the femininity, everything, is to get to our desired outcomes, okay? So that's my disclaimer before I go in this. Okay, back into it. Marketplace value are the qualities that make you desirable to a partner. Example, your appearance, your health, your emotional intelligence, your homemaking skills, etc. All right? Your personal value, your personal worth, those are the things that you care about. Those are the things that are like, well, I'm a good person and I try to do right by people. Or those are the things that say, I have this degree, I have that degree, all of those things. Taking another pause for a point. Now, this is coming from an educated and degreed woman. So I'm not trying to poop on anybody in your degrees. In general, men do not care about your degrees or how much money that you make. Most of the time, when we are looking at a man, especially, feminine and fit woman, when we're looking for a man that we desire, a lot of times we're looking for someone who is financially stable anyway, who can provide. If it is, a half-half situation, at some point it is what it is, but we are looking for a provider. You talking about your providing skills is not attractive to a man that is a provider. Just like a man who is saying, I'm a really good nurturer for the kids. It's like, okay, yeah, that's great, but I'm gonna do that. It's like, yeah, it's great. You can appreciate it, you can respect it, but that is not something that you're gonna be like, is he a nurturer? Oh no. He has all of the box checks, but he's not a nurturer, so I can't do it. All right, putting that in perspective. Okay. Self-worth, your inherent value as a human is created to be in God's image, right? So you're saying, hey, I am like God, I am doing the work, because we are. Everybody ain't doing the work. Okay, I don't know that young lady, but I don't know if she's doing the work. I'll just say that. All right. We're created in God's image, so there is an amount of love and respect that we have for ourselves. And because we are gods, because not God saying calling ourselves a gods, but gods as in ownership, okay? Because you got to be careful with that too. We'll talk about that on another day. But because we belong to God and because we are representatives of God, there is certain qualities that we want to make sure that we have, and certain things that we want to make sure that we do. And as we, as long as we know that we're in line with God's will, you should have a certain amount of self-worth or whatever, right? Are we doing those things though, is the question. If you really believe that you are a daughter of God and that you have a relationship deeper than just surface level, there are certain things that you're going to do and that you don't do because, well, for one, respect for God. If you believe that God rests in your body, in you, which is your temple, doing things that directly destroy your temple is kind of like, do you really believe that God is there? Now, it's not saying that you're going to be perfect. It's not saying that you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to stay on the inside because of the radiation or whatever. It doesn't mean that you may not go out with your girlfriends and have a drink here or there, but it does mean the way that you move should shift if you really believe that, right? And you guys will notice as we've been working along, over time, some of your habits just shift. You may not say, hey, I'm going to stop drinking, or hey, I'm going to stop eating fried food, but your desire to be better shifts your appetite a lot of times. So yeah, you might have a piece of fried chicken if somebody come in and bring it in, okay, but are you going to go to Popeyes and buy 2 big buckets and feed your family with it? If you are actively trying to do that work and be better, probably not. Yes, you may have a drink or 2, maybe even 3 with the girls, if you're feeling spicy, right? But if your mind is on that being better, working to be who God has called you to be, are you going to go somewhere and get completely trashed to the point that you are stumbling and falling out of whatever restaurant or place that you're at? Probably not. Okay? Do things happen? Yes. Do we come back and we correct them and we continue that work and that process to see, hey, like what happened here? This isn't me. This isn't the woman that I am working to become. What happened? Is it something mentally? Am I dealing with something that I'm not aware of? Absolutely, right? Okay. Now, the disconnects happen when we conflict the two, okay? Our marketplace value versus our self-worth. Thinking in a degree of salary, right? Let me see how I can put this. Okay, let me take this episode back. Another thing that has incited a lot of friction when I talk about it is the thing of competing for a man, right? And a lot of people say, I'm not competing for nobody. You're gonna want me, and if he don't want me, okay. To a certain extent, yes, you don't want to get in the competition mode where you see other women as where you got the little stank face or things like that. However, if you are desiring a certain caliber of man, to think that you are the only one that wants that man and that you can come in doing minimal, being mediocre and keep them because there's somebody for you, that's not realistic. Why is it that we go to work and we compete for our jobs and we try to tell them why they should hire us? I have this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that for a job that's gonna pay you $13.97. Okay, now I know y'all might get more or even less than that. I'm just, I had to, throw that out there, the specific $13.97. It helps with the point. All right. To compete for a job that's gonna pay you $13.97 and fuss back and forth with you to get a 50-cent raise, but you think that you are not going to have to compete and show up as something of value for somebody that you want as a life partner? Somebody that, according to you, has to have all of these requirements, being a top tier man, a top tier man of God, of health, of being able to provide and all of that, and to be able to say, oh, this is just me. Okay? Now, with that being said, you want people to love you for you, but you have to be realistic about the situation. You have to be realistic about the situation, and you have to make sure that those feelings and those emotions and that ego does not get in the way of you showing up as the person that you were requesting that somebody else is. It's easy for us to make demands and say, you got to be A, B, C, and D. And, oh, no, I'm not settling. But not looking inward to see how you can be better. And you'll hear people say, well, I'm going to do it for myself. I'm going to do it for, yes, you're going to do it for yourself. We're doing these things because we are representatives of God. We know that we belong to God. And because of that, we want to make sure that we are representing God adequately, right? Think about it like this. If a preacher was talking about God is a healer and this and this and that, right? And then COVID comes and everybody shut down. You're like, oh no, you got COVID, you can't come around. He's like, wait, I thought God is a healer. I'm coming to be healed. Where are you? I am trusting in God to heal me, and you telling me, oh no, Lysol up in your face. It was me. I had the Lysol too. I'm just saying. I had it too. I still got it, right? But we have to make sure that the things that we're putting out and that we're preaching and that we're saying, oh, these are my non-negotiables, it makes sense logically and not just for our ego, okay? Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies, okay? Virtue, not accomplishments, determines the true value in a relationship. Virtue includes character, discipline, and the ability to build a home and nurture love. Okay? So these are those inward qualities that we may have that somebody may not see initially, right? When we look for a job, a lot of times the biggest two things I say that we look for is, hey, is this something that I could somewhat enjoy do or do easily without feeling like stressed, overwhelmed all the time? Will I enjoy doing it? And then also the pay. Same thing with us. Same thing with men. hey, is this something that I can enjoy, that I can I know it's going to be work, right? We know it's going to be work, but is this something that I can enjoy, that is going to feed me? Literally sometimes too. I was going to say not literally, but literally sometimes too. That is going to feed to me, that's going to add to me, that is going to be worth me giving up something, okay? On the job, we give up our time. Relationships, we give in our time, our energy, our prayers. You're going to go through stuff. Nobody's perfect, right? But it's to see, is it worth it? Does this person add enough value into my life for me to give, to serve, right? And vice versa. You can't, the young lady before, it was another message underneath where she was talking about how the guy hadn't touched her, had sex with her in 2.5 years. I didn't want to say it to her, but somebody should have he is not attracted to you. He is not sexually attracted to you. Y'all had an agreement before. I don't know what the agreement was, but based on the wording, I can pick up on it. And what I'm thinking, what I'm gathering, of course, I don't know the details. What I'm gathering is there was some kind of agreement. He was like, hey, you're a solid one. I rock with you. Now, typically, I desire a certain aesthetic, right? I'm down to rock with you because of who you are. I love you. But why would somebody get into a situation, right, where they know that they aren't sexually attracted, and there's all of this temptation out here? It's a setup for failure. It's a setup for sin. Things happen, right? Even somebody you're attracted to, it could be years, especially if you're spending life with a person, right? Things happen. Kids, especially if I'm dealing with now, after childbirth, things happen with our bodies and stuff like that. But if there is somebody that is not actively trying to be better, right? Hey, for us, you might not have the finances right now to take care of everything. That's fine. But you think you're going to chill and play video games all day and not contribute nothing? We can be in a situation and we can be like, this guy has so much potential. I'm going to rock with him. But if the evidence is not there to see that you are trying to move forward to be the best version of yourself possible, why would anyone stay in that? And why do we get offended when people say that they don't want that? Why is it that we can make demands and we can say, oh, he has to have this or he can have that? Or I'm not accepting this, I'm not accepting that. But then we get offended when people say that. Even being feminine and fit women, right? There are some people that we may be attracted to, that we may desire, that still don't want us. And we're like, well, wait, I'm over here. I am a virtuous woman according to the Bible. I'm doing everything that I can to be in the will of God. I'm fit, I'm taking care of myself. I brushed my teeth this morning, all of those things. And there's people we're just still not gonna be their preference, right? But to just sit and do just enough, barely enough, honestly not even enough, and then belittle someone else because they don't want to date us, it's diabolical. The amount of people that say, oh, something is wrong with you because I don't want to date you. I'm going to take it another. Now, y'all listen. Listen. I'm going to put it out there because we talking, okay? And I'm going to use myself. I'm going to use myself as an example. So I'll talk to you guys about my dating situation and, my desire for marriage and things like that, right? When Baby Lobo came along and I made the decision to have Baby Lobo and not be married, I understood that my dating marketplace value would decrease if this relationship did not work out. I'm going to say that again. I understood that if this relationship does not work out and I have a child by someone else, my dating marketplace value decreases. Does it mean that I can't get somebody good? No, it doesn't mean that. Does it mean that I'm not worthy and I'm less than? No, it doesn't mean that. But it does mean that in this competition market where everybody is competing, a man may look at me and say, you know, I love that you love your kids, Kiki. You're a great mom, but I don't want to raise another man's kids. It sucks. I might not like it, but the reality of the situation is that is what it is. And so I had to understand that, like, going into the situation, I'm like, ooh-wee, you know? And I'm like, man, God has a sense of humor. He really does have a sense of humor, because I was in a place where I tried to do everything right? And it still didn't work. So there are things that we can be like, hey, I'm trying to do it right. I'm trying to do it in the will of God, and life happens and it still doesn't work. Does it mean that you don't deserve love and that you poop and that you're going to be lonely forever and ever and ever? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Does it mean that it might be a little bit harder? You might not even see it as hard, but the reality is the reality, and our feelings and our emotions cannot get into the way to where we don't accept what the reality of a situation is. If there is a single childless man that makes good money, that is handsome, that has emotional intelligence, know how to talk to you right, you're having a rough day, he just know what to say. You know, all of these things that we desire, the reality is that he is going to be desired by many women. Every woman thinks that she's a good woman. All of us. The good women think they're good women. The trash women think they're good women. Everybody think that they're good woman. Just because you're a good person or a good woman does not mean that someone has to date you. And it does not make them a bad person because they choose not to. Now, what we can do, I'm gonna make sure I'm not going too far off or skipping forward. I think I am a little bit, but it's okay. What we can do is make sure that we are the best versions of ourselves possible, right? And we're not going into this saying, oh, I'm gonna make myself the best version of myself possible so I can compete with all of the other women. But the reality is that if you desire to a partner, a husband, a long-term relationship, that is a factor, okay? Now, we are working to make ourselves better because we want to be pleasing in the eyes of God. And of course, we want our desired outcomes of life, right? But with us working on us to be better, right? It helps us in our marketplace, in our dating marketplace, okay? Are there things that we just can't control? Other people's personal preference? They may be the ideal, perfect man for you, right? But for them looking at you, you may not be their ideal. And that's okay. Do you say, oh, well, he said he likes black hair, so I'm going to dye my blonde hair black? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is being honest with yourself about where you are, making sure that you're dating where you are, because you attract what you are, not what you desire. Continuing to work on yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, making sure that you are the best possible. So while you are being a wife, waiting for a husband to show up, you're already her. And then when that man that God has for you comes, you're ready. And not like, oh God, I see you working. Let me see if I can try to go ahead and get these 15 pounds off. Or, oh God, I see you working. Let me see if I can go ahead and get rid of this trauma so I can stop being self-sabotaging to the blessings that God has given me. Okay? All right. Let's go to this scripture. Okay? James 1:8, a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. Double-mindedness leads to instability. If your standards shift based on who you like, it shows a lack of self-discipline and true respect. Now, I'll put this point here because I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to tell you, normally we got a shot of espresso. Today, the shot of espresso has tequila in it. All right. So, a lot of times when dating, we make so many demands. He has to have this, he has to have that. Oh no, I'm not settling. I'm not taking this, I'm not taking that. And as soon as a fine man come, well, a few little cuts smelling good, all of those standards go out the window, and you allow yourself, I'm just gonna say it like it is. I hope y'all got kids around. Yeah, Tisha, okay. So what I'm saying is, Tisha, all of those standards go out the window. I'm in your ear. Let me know when I'm in the ear. I'm in the ear. Okay. As soon as a fine man come, your legs is open. You're like, oh my gosh, oh look, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. And then you're back there the next weekend. Why is it that we have all of these standards, and as soon as somebody tickles our fancy or tickles something else, then all of those standards leave, and then we find ourselves in this self-sabotaging cycle of, oh my goodness, I just don't know what's going on, and I just want somebody to love me for me, and I just don't know, and God, where are you? I've been here. You was trying to act like I wasn't here, right? Because you wanted something over there. If you're gonna have the standards, at least keep it for everybody. Like, my goodness. We say we want a certain caliber man. We say, hey, I want a provider. And even if he can't provide for me fully in the way that I would desire, somebody who is going to show up and protect their family no matter what. Someone who is going to go hard, even if they can't take care of everything, no matter what. And then Bob from down the street, who fix something every now and then in somebody's house, and then be on video games the rest of the time, or outside working out, and he comes sweating like, ooh, let me fix this water, and you're like, oh my gosh, you so silly. No. That double-mindedness is what is gonna kill you, and it's gonna ensure that you cannot get that desired outcome, because you have a standard here for men who you may not be as attracted to, or they might be a little shorter. You know, we all got our height limits, and, you know, we want somebody taller than us and this and that. So you got the standard for somebody, and you're like, oh, but he looking at me in my eyes. So, but he has to have this, he has to have that, he has to have this, he has to have that. And then somebody else who has absolutely nothing to offer you besides good pipe, and you sit here and all of those standards go out the window, and then we wonder, why don't I have someone? I just desire that person. No, you don't. You like the quick fix. So I just had to say that part because, you know. All right. If you let a man who doesn't respect you into your body, you are reinforcing your own lack of respect for yourself. I'll read that again. If you let a man who does not respect you into your body, you're reinforcing your own lack of respect for yourself. And we have to ask those questions to say, why is this a cycle of mine? And even if it's not a cycle, why did this happen? And even if you're past that and it's not happening now and your mind is straight, what happened then? Where was my mind? What was I thinking? What was I going through? And how can I dive deeper to make sure that trauma or those bad decision-making skills that I had then don't repeat itself again in the same way or in a different situation? All right? Saying that you want a godly man of value while entertaining men who offer you nothing but temporary pleasure is spiritual and emotional self-sabotage. I'm gonna say that again. Saying that you want a godly man of value while entertaining men who offer you nothing but temporary pleasure is spiritual and emotional self-sabotage. You have to ask yourself, are your standards that you're having for these men, are they rooted in your values, or do they change based on your emotions? Thing that kills a woman the most, you know, it's our superpower, and our greatest flaw is our emotions. You cannot shift with the wind based on how you feel. You cannot shift with the wind. Well, I'm going to let him come over. We just going to watch TV, while going to shave. Just had to add that in. Like, are your standards rooted in your values, or do they change based on your emotions? Are you tolerating poor treatment for the sake of companionship or attention? And do you have an overinflated ego? Okay. Our time is running out, y'all. So that means it's time for me to wrap it up. But where we don't finish, we will come back next week. I promise. All right. Doing the work, okay? You can't expect a man to want to prioritize a woman who I'm read this wrong. You can't expect a man to want a woman who prioritizes health, peace, and femininity if you neglect your own well-being. We can't make all of these demands for someone else and we're not even doing it for ourselves. He's like, oh, I want a man of God. I want a man of God. Yeah, I want a man of God. Okay, how are you, we were, I gotta find a chapter, but we were reading something, I don't know what chapter of the Bible it is. I'll ask Micah about it, where it talks about going in the motions of service while forgetting to sit at God's feet, and how sitting and just being open and to what God and Jesus has to say to you sometimes is a lot better than serving. And I had the conversation with him. I said I was convicted in that because when I was back in Atlanta, it was the time that I was really, really heavy in church. Like, 3 times a week minimum in church. Sunday, Tuesdays, Saturdays, there serving. I felt like that's what I needed to do, right? I'm like, I am pleasing to God because I'm serving. But I was so caught up in the motions of doing stuff that I did not take the time to read the word and study the word for myself. Not reading to just say, oh, I read this chapter. Oh, I read this chapter, with no context of what's happening. And not just doing the little daily devotionals that come up and like, oh, okay, whatever, without even understanding the context of the chapter and what it means and how it applies to my life. Without doing that studying. And I thought that I was doing what I was supposed to do. But realizing that God said, hey, you gotta go deeper, man. We gotta really make sure that we are connected and locked in, and that we are doing the work to be better mind, body, and spirit, and not just going through the motions of stuff. Okay? Love requires overflow. You need to be full within yourself so that you can give from abundance and not desperation. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Love requires overflow. You need to be full within yourself so that you can give from abundance and not a place of desperation. And we also cannot expect a person to fill us up. God uses people to help pour into our lives and add, right? But the only person who can truly fill you up is God. You have to do the self-work to invite God into your life. You have to show God that you really mean it, and that you're not just calling on him because Lil John, you done fell in love. He's like, I didn't know I was gonna fall in love, and now I'm in love, and Lord, take the taste out my mouth. I don't want to. Do you really sit with God, or is it only when you need something? You know? Is this really the man that God has for you, or are you just tired of being lonely? You know, tired of being lonely. You know? And be honest with yourself about where you are. It might be somebody you're in a situation with, or relationship right now, and that may be the case. It is what it is, y'all. It is what it is. But what can you do to be better? Continuing to thirst after Christ. Continuing to thirst after God. Being intentional about it. Yeah, I don't feel like reading my Bible. Do it anyway. Yeah, I don't feel like going to the gym. Do it anyway. Yeah, I don't feel like fasting right now. Do it anyway. Those continuous habits of doing things that are positive. Your brain makes new that's just a name for it. Your brain makes neural pathways. Thank you so much, Akia. Your brain makes new neural pathways. And over time, you'll just start doing it out of habit. Think about it like, y'all, if this cuts off, we'll jump back on. But think about it like brushing your teeth. Nobody has to tell you how to brush your teeth. Okay, you're going to go this way, and you're going to go this way, and then you're going to get your tongue. It just comes naturally because you've done it so much. As a child, initially, you probably didn't feel like it. Was like, no, I want to go play, mommy. No, I want to go play, mommy. But over time, same thing tying a shoe. We don't have to be like, okay, 1 bunny ear, 2 bunny ear. We don't have to do that anymore. Those neural pathways they're there. So sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do over and over and over and over and over and over and over again in order to get the results that you want out of life and yourself, and to show God that, like, hey, I love you and I'm here. I am obedient. Are we going to be perfect? Absolutely not. But should we stop self-sabotaging? Oh my gosh, yes, stop it. Stop. Shaking myself too. Stop it, okay? Let me see where we are on time. All right, I got 3 minutes. I'm gonna go as far as I can, and then what we don't, we will finish off next week. All right. What? Know ye... Okay, let me start from the actual scripture. 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20. What? Know ye not that your body is a temple for the Holy Ghost which is in you, what ye have of God, and ye are not your own, but ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and spirit, which are God's. Your body and mind are spirit. And your body, mind, and spirit... Your body, mind, and spirit are divine gifts. If you neglect them and then blame others for not wanting you because you ain't taking care of you, it's a contradiction to who you say that you are. It makes you a liar. That's the easiest way to put it, is it makes you a liar. You're saying that you want something while doing half of it, and making demands for other people without holding yourself accountable. Okay? All right, so I'm going to stop there. Let me see if I can see where we are on time. All right, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to open up the floor. Oh, yeah, why y'all didn't tell me I didn't have the camera on?
We thought you knew. That's how I thought you knew.
I'm over here. I got all of the hand expressions. I'm making faces at y'all and everything. All right, so... any questions of that so far? Like I said, we're going to dive deeper into it next week. We're going to finish the second half of it, and then we're going to go deeper into those components that we covered this week. But so far, any questions, because we can maybe craft it more on the things that y'all are dealing with, the questions that you have, etc.
Tisha, do you want to go first, or I can go? Okay. So I guess the question that I have would be, like, what is, like, one tangible thing we can do to start shifting our mindset into this? Because this came right on time, because I was like, let me hop on Facebook dating, just message people just to talk to them. But then I was just like, there was one guy, I have a type and I need to get away from said type. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But
and just so you know, we got 60 seconds, so we're probably gonna have to jump back on. But I'm gonna jump back on out.
Okay, let's do that.
You wanna jump? Okay, well, how about we go? All right.
Okay.
Don't forget what you're saying.